You're the Spurt back with another episode of Horror Never Dies. This is episode 9, the history of horror. We're gonna get into that. Um, it's not gonna be literal, so you know what I'm saying. We're kind of jump around and talk about different things. But let me let my homie Rashad up. What's good, bro?
Yo, what's the deal, Pickles? Everything kosher?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Oh man, so it's one of those nights again. Fucking
Oh,
tired.
oh Lord.
Yeah, man. Cause I got off early tonight, but it's just like I got like real relaxed. I was like, oh fuck, I got stream tonight. I was gonna go. I was about to take my ass to the movies and shit. I was like, man, I'll probably got to wait till tomorrow. But quick little shout out to um Zach Attack reviews. I'll be on his channel on Tuesday.
Nice.
We're gonna be just talking all things horror and whatnot. So definitely tune in for that. That's going to be on a Tuesday, 7 p.m. So it's fairly early in the night for people to kind of tune in. You know what I'm saying? I just wanted to plug that real quick.
Right, right.
Um, yeah, we got. I didn't really watch any horror movies besides like I think one. It was called. They dropped it on Shutter. I was gonna do a review on it, but I just didn't feel like it. Uh, it was just late, so because I watched like two movies last night, but I was just like, you know what, not feeling it. But it's not
Yeah.
to say it was a bad movie or nothing, but it was called The Night of the Hunted. It's somewhat the premise of it is pretty much you have this girl, she's doing some she's doing some thought activities. So her and her side piece end up going to this gas station. And then all of a sudden, nobody's there. She doesn't seem like nobody's there. And then like this all happens like in like the first 10 minutes. She gets popped by a fucking sniper, and this whole time she has to maneuver through this store and try to figure her way out because this guy obviously is somewhere around the gas station, and he's just shooting, which is crazy because like why would you want to shoot at a gas station? But she's like within a store, so the whole movie's like an hour and a half of her trying to figure out how to get out of this, convenience store because she shot up, and you know what I'm saying, and the dude's playing head games. The only negative I have with it is the shooter because she has like this walkie-talkie, so she could kind of communicate with him. He just sounds like one of these January 6th motherfuckers, and just it was just really weird, and it just got annoying. But it's still, other than that, it's still a solid movie. It's worth watching. If
Okay.
you've ever seen something, this movie called Downrange, it's kind of similar to that, where it's an Australian horror movie
Oh,
where they have this sniper, and they're just out in the middle of this road, and they have to take cover behind their car and stuff, and just people get smacked left and right. So it's like I like those kind of movies because it's like you don't know where the shots are coming from, but people are just getting popped. You got to kind of stay where you're at. You can't just move around too much because the person just, you know what I'm saying? So it's kind of
right.
one of those types of movies.
Okay.
Yeah.
Dog, what was that movie you tried to put me on last week? Damn. Oh shoot, because you said it was on VOD, and what's it called? It was Dark something, I think.
Oh, Dark Harvest.
Dark Harvest. That's it. That's the one. Okay. Okay. I was trying to remember the name of it. Yeah, I gotta put that on my queue for this weekend. But
Yeah.
probably check that out tomorrow.
I'll send you a link.
Yeah, appreciate it. But yeah, I've been
Yeah.
yeah. Only thing I watched horror this week was well, I finished the House of Fall of the House of Usher.
Yeah.
God, that shit was so good, man.
So fire. So
It
fire. And
was
that's
so
just like,
good, bro.
I forgot that this was going to be Flanagan's last like project with Netflix, which is kind of a shame. It's like, damn, I want him to keep going, but that's one hell of a way to just kind of like mic drop. It's like a mic drop moment. It's just like, all right, that's it.
Hmm. I mean, so
Because now he
what has
has
he got?
three. You said
I
what?
was I was I was gonna say, what does he got coming up next?
I don't know what he's gonna come got next. I think he signed like a deal with like Amazon or something like that, but I don't know. I'm not
Okay,
sure what
okay.
else he's got going. But for me, he's got three bangers. You know what I'm saying? He's got the Midnight
Mhm.
Mass, he got the Fallen House of Usher, and then he's got Haunting of Hill House. Like
Haunting
those
of
are
Hill
just
House.
three bangers right there that like are worth checking out.
I don't know why. I
And
don't know why I keep fucking up the title of that. I keep saying House on Haunted Hill, and I
yeah,
keep
it's
I
very
say
confusing. It's very confusing. You could definitely get fucked up with that most definitely.
right. Yeah, but dog, like, okay, I don't know if are we allowed to talk spoilers of House of Usher or not for the people that haven't seen it.
I would say like let's hold off on it because I feel like it's
Okay,
still kind of
okay,
brand new and stuff. We probably talk about it a little bit next week or something like
okay.
that.
Yeah, but nah, but yeah, that shit was fire though, man. Like it was so good. Like and I think I said this last week. The most effective thing about it was that the horror is so few and far between where you're watching it like your brain is thinking is processing it as a drama, as a mystery, and then all of a sudden boom, something to hit you, be like, oh shit, I keep forgetting
Hmm.
I'm watching a horror show.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, couple of really good jump scares that really got me, like, oh shit, okay,
Because
y'all got me.
it's really risky where you tell your ending pretty much at the beginning, but like
Mhm.
the way he tells the story and how it kind of ties together,
Right.
and it really rewards you at the end for paying attention and just the style of it where like every time he's telling a story a certain
Mhm.
character will pop up behind Augie or something like that. Like
Right.
that stuff was really cool and subtle, and just the setting of where the old house is, and the mom, and that was a crazy, like, that first episode was pretty crazy. I just like the tone of it. So who is your favorite, like, your favorite sibling out of the bunch?
They were all scumbags, man. All of them. Like there was not one likable one. Even especially Elliot. I keep forgetting his actual name. I just know him as Elliot from ET. He was probably the worst one. He was. I
I
mean,
forgot he was. I forgot he was Elliot.
yeah.
That's crazy.
Every time I see him, I think Elliot. But I think out of all the siblings, he was the worst. Like, I mean, all of them were fucked up in their own ways, but he was the worst one. Like, he was the one where I'm like, yeah, somebody please get him. Get
Lenore
him.
was the only good one, I would say. With she's the granddaughter, but
Oh,
I would
okay. Well,
say,
yeah.
yo,
Well,
the
the granddaughter. Yeah. Well, that's the granddaughter, not the sibling. But yeah, the granddaughter. Yeah, she was angelic, man. I loved her. But yeah, the
yeah,
siblings,
all the siblings though, they were kind of scummy and stuff.
they were
Even though
terrible.
I would say like Leo was probably the only one that actually cared about his other siblings, but he
Mhm.
started to show his true colors, and that's what I liked about, like, as more of them started to fall off, you start to see more of their true colors kind of like
Right.
be in full display because they're under so much pressure, and they're all trying to like find out who this rat is, and what I'm saying,
Mhm.
they all want that money. They're all greedy bastards and stuff like that.
Right.
And
And and I like the reference to the Departed too, because your boy kept saying a mole. It's like, no, a mole is that's something within the police force. Like a rat is, and they kept trying to explain it to him, and he kept saying mole. I'm like, dude, it's not a mole. It's a fucking what's the word again? Oh my god,
informant.
informant.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But like after watching that, I was like, man, Mark Hamill needs to be like, if they ever do another Loomis here, like Mark Hamill will
Right.
be a perfect Loomis. He was just giving me those vibes like of
Yeah.
Loomis. Like I could see it. But
Ah,
yeah,
yeah. Good casting. That'll be good casting. Yeah.
yeah, for sure, for sure. Let me see what this comes. What up, Guru? Salute, salute.
Guru.
Yeah, it's just like yeah, that show is fucking crazy.
Mhm.
Mike Flanagan is on some other shit. Even though like even even I've critiqued some of the stuff that I wasn't the biggest fan of, like Bly Manor or like the Midnight Club. They're still like quality shows.
Right.
They don't feel cheap or anything like that. They're still quality shows. They're just not my, like, the story and stuff like that didn't really resonate with me. But
Hmm.
he still got three bangers to me, like,
Hell
with those
yeah,
shows.
hell yeah, and also the message too. Like, I was surprised the message that he put in there. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know about you, but it kind of hit me a little bit. Like, damn, that shit was kind of deep.
Yeah. There's a lot of different messages, like,
Right.
with like the pharmaceutical companies
Hmm.
and stuff like that. And for the little bit of I've seen from Succession, it definitely gives you that vibe as well too, mixed with some
Right.
horror elements and stuff, and the Edgar Allan Poe kind of thing, and just how he ties that all up at the end,
Yeah.
with the poem and stuff like that. I was like, man, that shit was
That shit was
that
dope.
was
Yeah.
brilliant. That was really brilliant. And I think like over time, more and more, when more and more people get to see it, they'll be like, yeah, this
Mm-hmm.
was this. It's kind of like a who done it and stuff like that, but doesn't feel stale. It's always going to keep you engaged and stuff. But yeah. But
Nah,
speaking
definitely.
about other shows and stuff, like I just want to rant a bit. Uh,
Uh-oh.
just bringing up Goosebumps again because they had the Night of the Living Dummy episode, and I gave it a pretty good. I had a lot positive to say. I still think the show's pretty shit, but it's just weird because it's like I get people that'll comment. Like this one guy commented, and he was like, he must have been really offended because I was like, yo, they're borrowing elements. You remember the movie Magic
Magic. Nah, I've ever seen that
with
one.
Anthony Hopkins?
Oh, nah. To my Norman Bates?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But like you get that, like it's kind of him being a ventriloquist dummy because that's what Slappy is. He's a ventriloquist dummy, and they're
Yeah.
kind of giving this backstory of like the main antagonist's like history and stuff and where this doll came from,
Nah,
where
I never
this
seen that.
ventriloquist doll came from. And I was
Yeah.
like, yeah, that gave me um Magic vibes, because it was like a guy that was just a failed magician and stuff like that, and
Mm.
until he came across this ventriloquist doll, it just gave him all this fame and fortune and whatnot, blah blah blah. Long story short, we go to the main antagonist in the '90s before like the accident happens to him. He gets burned to his house and all this shit, and I was like, yo, it just there's definitely hints of like Chucky here, like mixed with like a little bit of Child's Play, a little bit of Chucky, because there's a specific scene that. Did you ever see the Chucky show?
I haven't watched this. I watched like half of the first season. That's it.
So you remember the talent show, right? Where like Jake was sitting there like acting like he was a ventriloquist and whatnot, and Chucky was just talking shit in the crowd. They did something similar. I was just saying, I was just kind of like, long story short,
They
I
bite
was
me.
just like kind of like that's what made me think about that scene that happened in Goosebumps, and then somebody says, "Oh man, like you must not know Goosebumps because yada yada yada." I was like, bro, that's just the first thing that came to my mind. I know like there's probably other influences, but I'm just specifically talking about what I saw in this episode. You know what I'm saying? It very much reminded me that like one for one, damn near. I was like, bro, I'm sorry I hurt your feelings, and he just was going off of some other shit.
But
And,
you know what?
what I'm saying?
There's always that know-it-all in the comments that pushes their glasses up and well, actually, if you read the books, you would know that.
Yeah, I'm just like, bro,
Shut up.
like get out my fucking shit. That's what I was like. I don't even got the time to entertain that shit. So
Right.
that's just what I got from watching the episode. I was like, oh, this shit reminds me of Magic, or this reminds me of like he's reading this card similar to like the '90s Goosebumps, where they read this card that's in like Slappy's pocket or something like that, and it activates like kind of the curse. But it's kind of weird because he like calls out to them, and then they read the shit. So it's like, is he not already active if he's called out? It was very weird, little
Right.
inconsistent, but like it. And there's a little bit of Chucky where you read off these Latin words and shit, and it activates. I was like, oh, that's some Dewey Dembla shit, like you know what I'm saying. But what was
Yeah.
also cool, which was kind of like cool, but also kind of goofy, is like you had like whoever's connected to Slappy has the power to like turn other people into dolls and shit. That shit was fucking funny.
Hmm.
But other than that, I gave
So
it like a pretty positive, review, even though like I was like, damn, we should have stuck with this '90s cast because they seem more interesting than the cast that's in the that are playing the kids, because it's all it's this whole like revenge story, like where the parents did something wrong to this one kid, now he wants to get revenge. He's a vengeful spirit and stuff. I was like, been there, done that.
yeah.
Nothing really interesting, but I still got issues with the show overall. But that was probably the best one out of the six.
Yeah, well, as of tomorrow, I ain't gonna be able to watch it anyway because my Disney Plus contract expires tomorrow. I
It's
canceled.
on
I
Hulu.
can't.
It's on
Oh, it's
Hulu
on
too.
Hulu. Okay, it's on Hulu.
Yeah.
Okay, Yeah, I still rock with Hulu. Yeah, because dog, I told you they went up $3 on Disney Plus, man. I went
Yeah.
from $8.99 to $10.99. Now you talking about $13.99. I said, yeah, I lost y'all fucking minds, man. I said, hell
Yeah,
no.
Netflix going up too, but they don't like Netflix. Like people, like for me, real quick, like I can understand people being upset. Like everything is going to fuck up. I just like say
Right.
fuck it. You know what I'm saying? Because it
Yeah.
is what it is. You know what I'm saying? And when it comes to just like streaming services, I've used damn near like yeah, pretty much like every streaming service, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna just go wherever the content is going. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
and that's for me. Like, you know what I'm saying? Not everybody feels that way. I just feel like the people that kind of outraged by like certain things like Netflix, it's just they kind of just do it for because it doesn't really nothing like Netflix has done has affected their numbers really. It really hasn't because people are like oh because every time that they do like some password change and shit or up the price, but
Mm-hmm.
yet they're still making more money, still getting growth in subscribers and stuff like that. So it's just like is the complaining like really working? And it's just like you could say that about just any kind of media that you watch, like even video games have gone up in price. Like you know what I mean? People bitch about
Right.
2K, but still pay for 2K and the VC
Oh
and all
yeah.
that stuff. So
Yeah.
it's like and there's YouTubers that got fucking memberships that are like $50 or as high as fucking Netflix. So it's like y'all are hypocrites.
No, exactly. I
That's
mean, bro, yeah. So sometimes I'm guilty as charged. Being like, "What? You chop man? All right, man. Okay, I'll go ahead and pay it." But but see,
yeah.
but the thing about it is, but see, Netflix. I'm not going to complain because see, my whole household we all watch Netflix. Like my son,
Hmm.
he loves Japanese anime. So my son is like all into anime. His mama watches all kind. You know what I'm saying? So everybody watches Netflix. I barely watch Disney Plus. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Sometimes I go
Hmm.
weeks without watching Disney. So and then only one that watches Disney is my daughter because she likes some throwback shows. But I said, look, I said you're outnumbered, baby, because out of four of us, you're the only one that watches Disney. So sorry, man, you outvoted. So yeah, Disney
Yeah,
gets
and it's just like what I'm saying. If they don't got the content that you're looking for, just
right.
unsubscribe, keep it moving. No
Yeah,
need to make a big ruckus about it. You know what I'm saying?
and it,
Because
it well, it's a shame too, bro. Because I remember when Disney Plus first dropped, man. I remember I was in 2019. It was $5, and man, I couldn't get enough of it. I was like, wow, they got all my throwback Marvel Saturday morning cartoons, man. All
and
the
that
old
quick
school Disney
and,
joints. The Mandalorian just dropped. You know what I mean?
and
So
that nostalgia quickly like kind of ran its course for me. I was like,
right,
all right, because I've seen all this shit like a bunch of times. So it's like, where's
yeah,
the new shit at? And it's been 5 years. They ain't got shit, and they want to charge more. That's what I'm saying. Like, anyway,
yeah.
that's a cool way to kind of just open up the episode. Let's just talk about like the history of horror. We don't gotta go like every era, but I just found like even though we've been talking about that here and there with different
Mhm.
episodes and stuff like that, the
Right.
history of horror. I feel like out of all the genres, horror has like the most richest history
Hmm.
in cinema, and going all the way back to the 20s, the 1920s, even a little bit earlier than that in the late 1900s. That like these little I think the first like recorded like horror or technically it was a horror movie, whatever. It was like this 3 minute movie or something like that, which is crazy to think about that movies were like 3 minutes or like 10 minutes or
Yeah,
something like that, like little
yeah.
shorts. I
Hmm.
forget. I think it was called like the House of the Devil or some shit like that.
Oh
But
shit.
but then you got the Nosferatus and then the Doctor Jekyll and Mr. Hyde movies. Then you get into the 30s with the Dracula. I think that's where like that's what they consider like the golden age of horror, which
Oh
is
yeah,
kind of crazy.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, dog,
Yeah, so like,
I just watched Jekyll and Hyde recently. I think the 1930s one. I think it
mm.
was like 35. And dog, you'd be surprised how those effects kind of still hold up. I
Yeah,
was
because it's weird because like anytime you watch those like movies that came out in the 20s and 30s, I'm just like, yo, how the fuck did they make that? It's sort of
right,
like with just music. It's just like you look how advanced it's gotten now. It's just like back then. It's just how did you record shit? You know
right,
what I'm saying? Like what kind of cameras like were they you like? Obviously they were using some crazy ass cameras, but you could suspend disbelief that like easily there because you look at something like Nosferatu, like that's some great fucking
hmm,
uh makeup because you think this dude's a real vampire or something like that, or you look at
right.
Dracula and just like I can only I now I don't wish I was there in the 30s, but I do wish like I could have been in the theaters because I wonder how that setting is and how the theaters look back then and
Oh
people's
wow.
reactions, like getting those like imagine they had reviewers back then like talking about them shits and seeing the Wolfman for the first time, like that stuff would be really cool.
Yeah, well, dog, it's kind of funny. My father tells me, like to this day, one of the most memorable movie moments that he had was when he went to see Creature from the Black Lagoon. That's how old my
Mm.
pops is. Yeah, so his older brother took him to see Creature from the Black Lagoon, but mind you, they lived in the Jim Crow South, so
Mm.
so black people had to sit up in the balcony, so that's where the black people sat, and then the white folks got to sit like near the screen where they got a good a better look at the movie. But anyways, but at the time, that's just what it was. So my father didn't like cry about it. That's just what it was at the time. So yeah, he went to see Creature from the Black Lagoon. He said that movie fucked him up. He said that like, cause even when you look at it now, the creature, the suit, the costume looks, it still holds up. So just imagine in the
Mm-hmm.
50s. So he said he had nightmares for weeks after watching that movie, man. So yeah,
Yeah.
those movies, like kind of, I guess how we see something like what do we consider really scary now? Like, I don't know, whatever, but that's what it was to them back then, watching Frankenstein and the
Well,
Wolf Man
it
and all
would be
that.
like slashers for us
Right,
technically,
right.
pretty
Well,
much like
yeah,
yeah,
like Terrifier, 2. How we
yeah.
see Terrifier 2. That's what Creature from the Black Lagoon was back then.
Yeah, 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 yeah. For
Yeah.
sure, for sure, for sure. Yeah, because it's like even seeing like Frankenstein and that design and how iconic that it was like
Hmm.
years later, almost 100 years, coming up on it like 100 years. It's
Right.
just fascinating to being like Bride of Frankenstein, where she had like kind of like that um like a fro almost like I don't know what you would call it, but just those designs and stuff like the mummy and just how that kind of evolved into what we got in the 50s and 40s and stuff with the monster movies, the kaiju movies, the Godzilla
Hmm.
stuff like that. In Japan was kind of getting it. Then it started to really branch out really early, after the monster universe, and that was technically like the first cinematic universe and whatnot.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
the monster verse and stuff like that.
Monsterverse.
So
Yep.
It,
Yep.
so it's like it's interesting to kind of see that, and then you see like what superhero genres doing, and but we're not here to talk about the superhero genre. I'm just
Yeah.
saying like that's just
It,
that's just interesting to me.
Yeah, and also you got to think too. There was really no like no blood or no gore, nothing like that. Like I mean, those
Hmm.
movies are classics for us to watch as horror fans. But it's funny because those movies like freaked people out back then. But like you really saw no blood. Like you watch Dracula, there's zero blood in Dracula. You know what
Hmm.
I'm saying? You don't see no like even blood coming from the fangs or anything. So I don't know exactly when the gore started to kick in, like when they started putting gore in the horror
It was
movies.
probably the 80s. It probably most likely was the 80s, early like 70s, probably like late 70s, like right when we got to the slashers. Like that's I
Right.
think that's where we got to the gore.
Yeah.
Even the stuff that came out of like that wasn't mainstream, like Friday the 13th. We got like a lot of like kind of knockoffs or just
Hmm.
things that kind of just really showcased gore and stuff and like body
Right.
horror and stuff. And it's interesting because I'd be curious to see if like somebody could do that now, like make a horror movie that has no violence. It just
Mm.
relies on its scares or just like the atmosphere and stuff like that. Like I can't think of one off the top of my like Skinamarink,
I
but
was
like
about
that,
you took the words in my mouth. I was just gonna say Skinamarink, yeah.
but like it's just like I don't want to be bored either. Like because like Skinamarink, I appreciate the effort, like
Yeah,
or trying to just do something new, but it just didn't hit with me. Some people like that, but it just didn't hit with me. I know
right.
what they were going for though. I get it, but
Yeah,
it's
yeah. It's
like
like these days you have to have some sort of
wow,
blood or
wow
something.
factor.
Wow factor. Yeah, yeah. But back then
Yeah,
it wasn't like that. I mean, I think I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Psycho was like one of the first ones to show blood on
I think so.
screen, like the shower scene. And I heard
Yeah,
Hitchcock put it in black and white because they couldn't actually show the red. You know what I'm saying? So they had to
yeah.
make it black and white so it didn't look as violent.
Yeah, and even getting some like Psycho was interesting because I watched that. Like I had the Blu-ray, I got the
Mhm.
digital now. I got rid of the Blu-ray. But watching that, like even when it's upres and stuff, is interesting because it feels like a newish movie and stuff like that. And just seeing like even the pacing is a little different compared to now. Like
Right.
I like movies used to be like an hour, a little bit more, like an hour 10 minutes or something like that,
Mhm.
and it still felt like a fledged movie. And then you get it after you get the Psychos, you get like the Black Christmases, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre,
Right.
Halloween, which I just recently rewatched. And Michael does some goofy ass shit in that movie that's just funny to me. Like him
From the
driving
original.
is just so fun. Yeah, him
Yeah.
just driving around is just funny to me because it's like you're used to him just seeing him like teleport and shit. So it's like, why the fuck you need a car, bro? Like,
Yeah, and
so
where the fuck did he learn how to drive? Because he's been locked up since he was a kid. So when the hell did he get the experience?
yeah.
You know what I'm saying, to get in the car and drive. But
And Loomis was funny in that too.
and people forget that Halloween's not even a bloody movie. Halloween, there's like
Yeah,
really
it's
no
not.
blood in that movie at all.
There's not that much. Yeah, not at all.
Nah,
Besides, like seeing his sister and shit. Like that's like the first, and probably like the first time you see some titties and something like that. Like that's another
right.
thing too. Is like nudity wasn't that big early on in horror, but then like
Mm-hmm.
as you see, like that's why like X was so dope because like porn and horror were coming up at like were like peaking at like the same time, and you started seeing a lot more sexual shit going into the 70s and 80s and stuff and whatnot.
Right.
So it's just really fascinating to me. And then of course we got like everybody's favorite era is the 80s. You know what I'm saying? Where we get all
Yeah.
these different slashers and stuff and Jason and whatnot. And you got the Freddy Kruegers of the world. You got tons of stuff. Child's Play. You know what I'm saying? Just the 90s with Scream and the rest is history. Then
And the
like I
screen, the
feel like
screen
in the
ripoff.
early 2000s, that's where you started to see a lot more like remakes, kind of mixed with some like more originality a little bit here and there, sprinkled here and there. But then like they kind of take a lot of the foreign shit, make it Americanized and stuff. They're playing with a lot of different things in the early 2000s with a lot of films. But
Yeah, nah, definitely, definitely. Matter of fact, my next reaction video, which I should have up tomorrow, I did a reaction to Trick or Treat, the heavy metal.
yeah,
I can't even call that a slasher movie, bro. Like from the trailer, I thought it was gonna be a heavy metal slasher movie, but my man was like he was a Freddy Krueger ripoff, but he had the powers of Electro.
mm,
So from I was expecting
I
like
think.
blood and gore and shit, but he just zapped people. He just vaporized people.
See, I feel like I'm because we're talking about this. I don't know if it was the same Trick or Treat that I'm thinking about with the little boy, whatever, like with the babysitter. Is it the same one or is it probably?
No, well this Trick or Treat, it's about this metalhead kid. He's in high school and he's really into heavy metal and stuff like that, but he's an outcast and he gets picked on the
Okay.
course by the blonde headed bully. Every back in the 80s, every bully had to be a blonde head Johnny Lawrence ripoff, and so he's a fan of this big time artist called Sammy something. I forgot what his name was, but anyways, dude dies in a fire and then comes back as a ghost because he took his last record and played it backwards. So playing the record backwards, he was able to summon him back from the dead, and he comes back as this like vengeful ghoul who has the power of electricity.
Mm,
And yeah, so he uses heavy
interesting.
metal. Yeah, he uses heavy metal to lure his victims, and then he zaps them. Pretty much, that's
Yeah,
basically it. Yeah,
that's pretty much like little bits about that are kind of reminds me of like how they set up the Goosebumps series and stuff, where a kid gets caught up in a fire, dies, and then like his vengeful spirit comes after
mm-hmm.
people that wronged him and stuff like. But yeah, that's interesting because I know there's another Trick or Treat, but like there's like a little kid in it, there's like a babysitter. And the one that you're talking about, I probably never seen, but now I want to kind of see. I kind of do want to watch that and find
Yeah,
that somewhere.
it's considered a cult classic. It came out in '86, and so this is like during the boom of the heavy metal era, like the hair bands and stuff. So
Yeah,
the reason why I wanted to watch it because, like I told you, I had a fear of hair bands back in the day, like Gene Simmons and Dee Snider. And you know, it was so funny, Perp. That's the first thing they show when the movie opens up. They show a picture of Dee Snider, Twisted Sister, and Gene Simmons actually has a cameo, and Ozzy Osbourne has a cameo in the movie. So
yeah. They was on some
yeah.
nut shit,
Oh yeah, yeah. But I mean,
eating
it's
bats and shit.
but dog. I mean, if you're a metalhead, I think metalheads really love that movie. You know what I'm saying? So if you're really into
Yeah.
that '80s metal shit, then that's definitely your type of movie. But I thought it was a missed opportunity because like the look of the main guy, the Sammy character, like look him up. He has a good look to me. He has a good creepy look to him. But if they would have made it more, if they'd have made him more Art the Clownish, where he just fucks
Mm.
people up, I think it would have been more effective. But instead, like I said, he was Raiden. He was fucking he was Electro. You know what I'm saying? He had
Yeah.
this blue lightning all over him, and he would just zap you, and you would disappear.
I appreciate though, like that era, like the '80s and '90s, even though like it was we are getting slasher like super duper amounts of like different slashers, but there was also like really weird creative ones as well. You know, like
Right?
Pumpkinhead or something like that, which I'm surprised that they
Yeah.
haven't brought that back yet. But Puppet Master.
Mhm.
What was another one? You said you saw Popcorn. You like Popcorn.
Yeah. Popcorn.
Um,
Yeah, which felt like
what's
two
another?
movies. Um. Oh yeah. By the
It
way,
was
I just rewatched Pumpkinhead too recently. Too that movie still holds up.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I remember always watching that on like the Sci-Fi Channel, like
But
whenever they
dog,
had the marathons.
and for some reason, bro, I can't get none of the demons out of my head, bro. That something about that movie, man, is just really just gutter and just fucks with me, man. I keep thinking about that lipstick and the nipple scene, man. I can't stop thinking about that, bro.
That's why did you watch Demons yet?
No, that's next. That's next. So
Oh, that's
after
next. Okay.
after I drop Trick or Treat tomorrow, man. So next Sunday I'm doing a double feature. I'm
Yeah,
gonna do Demons
Demons
and
gonna fuck.
Demons 2.
Demons gonna fuck you up, bro.
Oh gosh, I'm not
But it's
looking forward to
entertaining as
it.
fuck. Or like, bro, the dude Tony in that, yo, the character Tony is like super entertaining. It's fucking hilarious. Like,
Yeah.
and then once you get to like Demons 2, I like Demons 2 a little bit more. But
Mhm.
I appreciate like the cinematography in one where it takes place in the movie theater and stuff like that. And a lot of the transformation scenes are really fucking dope and
Wow.
gory and stuff like that. But it's just yeah, a lot of things to like about those two movies. Those are some fun horror
So
movies that they should never touch and
so
remake.
the demons in those movies are more like creepy than Angela because I can't get Angela out of my head, bro.
Yeah, I would say that like it's a lot of like body horror and stuff like that, and like you'll see,
Uh,
you'll definitely see. I don't want to spoil it for you, but like the
gosh.
way that they did it, I was like, man, this is so dope,
Yeah.
and it just goes to show you when like a lot of the '80s and '90s they stuck with the practical effects and
Mm-hmm.
you know what you're capable of doing. Even something like The Thing, you look at back at that and it's just like, man, how the fuck did they do that? Like.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You make all these animatronic things. Was it the aliens and aliens? Like they were animatronic, right?
Yeah. Well, the first alien, the first alien, it was a guy in a suit.
Okay.
Yeah, but they did have one scene. There was like one shot in the movie where they did have an animatronic where it was like it was moving slowly towards somebody. But other than that,
Mm.
it was a really tall guy in a suit. And then in Aliens, I didn't realize that they only had like 5 people in suits. It was like 5 suits. But the way James
Mm.
Cameron shot it, they made it look like it was like 100 of them. But it was actually like I think it was like 5 or 6 suits they had.
Yeah, that's crazy. We are
Yeah,
overdue for an aliens movie. You know, what I'm saying it's time to pack up the Predator and let's just, even though it's gonna be Disney and
right.
but I will say that like even under Disney, that Disney Fox banner, we got Prey, which I thoroughly enjoyed Prey.
Yeah,
But just give me something like that. Not exactly like that, but like if we can get an alien movie that just hits like that, put it in theaters, of course. I think we
yeah.
got something. We can kind of like start bringing these shits back.
Well, I think because two set the bar so high, like Terminator 2, man. Like everything else is just inferior. So that's good. The top aliens, man. That's some big shoes to fill. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
just even just like I said, going back to the cinematography, like just just the way it's shot, like you could just feel that you're lost in space, and I like that's the worst case scenario, just being stuck in
Mhm.
space, and you got an alien, you can't go nowhere.
Right.
All you can do is just fight or just die,
Right.
or get a face sucker on you occasionally.
Oh, and bro, and I love to show people the first Alien for the first like that. People that's never seen Alien, I love to look at their reaction when that chest buster scene happens. I think that's one of the most effective like horror scenes in like all of horror movies, bro. Like
Hmm.
no matter who you show that to, when you look at their reaction, it's like every reaction is the same. Like, what the fuck just happened?
Hmm.
Because it comes out of nowhere. You know what I'm saying? Like they're just sitting there eating and having a good time. The next thing you know, boom, just bust out the fucking chest.
You know what's a horror movie that doesn't get talked about a lot, but I feel like it's underrated. It came out in, like, was it 99 or like 2000 or some shit? The Faculty.
Yes, very underrated.
Yeah,
Extremely
the
underrated.
creature in that was
Yeah,
pretty dope. I
yeah.
think it's CG. I think most of that was I know was practical. I don't know, but that
Well,
shit was pretty good.
it was CG when it was moving. So when it was chasing, what's that boy's name? Elijah Wood, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, when it was chasing Elijah Wood, you could tell it was CG. But then when they during the close ups, it was animatronic.
yeah, that shit was dope. Like that's a really because I rewatched that like a couple years ago. I was like, yeah, this movie doesn't get talked about a lot, and just I was surprised. It's another one I'm surprised they don't remake. And I hear that they are trying to make like a 13 Ghosts into a TV series or something like that, which would be fucking dope. That's another one. Like I said, a lot of like early 2000s.
Right.
There's so many like little gems that just came out. Like also talking about the remakes, like we got probably the best horror remake with Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Like I
Mm.
still remember being like kind of traumatized and scared to watch that. This is back when we had those fucking big ass TVs and shit. Like
Yeah.
not big ass TVs, but the like, you know what I'm saying? The shits with
The big flat screens with the big ass thing, like the big ass back where the TV weighed
no,
about
no,
a thousand
not
pounds.
the flat screens. We ain't had money like that, but it was just like that with
Yeah.
like the little, the average TVs that people would have and
Oh,
stuff like.
the tube TVs. Yeah,
Yeah, the tube
yeah.
Jones. Like, yeah, it's just like watching it on that. It's just, man, that shit just takes me back because it's like it's not that long ago, and then like just seeing how TVs and stuff has like advanced. But anyways, that aside, like I just remember watching like Texas Chainsaw Massacre,
Hmm.
renting those movies from like Blockbuster
Yeah, yeah.
when that was a thing.
But dog,
Um,
I think the reason why I think the faculty don't get mentioned the way it should is because it's coming on the heels of Scream. So, like, we're talking about the history of horror. So, with the history of horror, you would have a film that would come out right and just like
yeah,
crush it, but then you would have like five to ten copycats that come after that. So you gotta think the faculty came out 2 years after Scream. So it's like, okay, it's Scream, and then there's all the copycats that came after that. And because it's
yeah,
considered a copycat, they don't give it the respect that it's due. So you put it in the same category as I Know What You Did Last Summer and
oh yeah.
Urban Legend. All those movies are
Hmm.
all Scream copycats. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, like that teen horror, like what I'm saying, they were really trying to capitalize off that.
Right.
And I liked I Know What You Did Last Summer more than I Still Know What You Did Last Summer because like I used to like I Still Know What You Did Last Summer because of Brandy, but now like I definitely feel like the first one's a little bit more solid as a movie
Yeah.
overall. And just like Jennifer Love You with the "What are you waiting for?" I remember that trailer. Just like
Right.
I'm always gonna remember that stuff in the trailer, and what I'm saying,
Yeah.
the trailer guy and stuff like that talking over it. Like so
Yeah.
stuff like that was really dope. Like block.
So let me ask you, what do you think is that
Yeah,
movie? Like, what movie do you think came out recently that started a string? It's like, so for example, with Jaws, right? So Jaws came out, then after Jaws, you had Piranha and Orca, Alligator. You know what I'm saying? Great White. And then after Elm Street, you had all these knockoff like nightmare movies. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
So, can you think of a movie recently that came out that started a trend of horror movies that came after that copied it? We haven't had one
I
like
don't
that in
know if
like
I don't know
maybe.
if I would say copied it, but I would say it opened the door for a lot of things. Like I think Terrifier 2
Mm,
did something for indie movies, like those super low budget movies, because like ever since then, you start to see more and more of them kind of pop up in AMC's and stuff like,
right.
and
Yeah.
having a decent amount of like theaters showing it. I don't think we'll ever get one like close to like how Terrifier 2 had like over 1,000
Hmm.
screens and stuff like that, which is crazy for a movie of that budget.
Yeah, that
But
was
I feel
built
like
wide.
that definitely kind of started off a trend, and people and studios are trying to are starting to get give those low budget films some shine, and
Hmm.
not just putting them on VOD. Because like something like Terrifier 2, you would expect that just to hit VOD or a streaming service or something like that.
Right.
And yeah, because but as far as starting a trend though,
I don't know.
I would
Maybe.
say like maybe the requels, like maybe like with Halloween 2018,
Hmm.
we kind of get Scream 5. I don't know if that would kind of like because we are getting a lot of requels and stuff like that.
Right. So yeah. So like the legacy. You know, what I'm saying like the legacy, like you said, requels or whatever. Yeah. I guess. Yeah. I guess Halloween kicked that off. Halloween 2018.
Oh, there you didn't like Black Girl and Her Monster.
Oh, I
I
meant
like that
always
movie.
meant to watch. I never watched that. I always meant to watch that one.
Yeah, that's on Shutter. That's pretty decent. I liked it for what it was trying to tell, and I feel like I feel like it took me a while to kind of appreciate more low budget films. You know what I'm saying? Outside of our normal like big budgeted horror movies and stuff like that.
Hmm.
But like you just kind of have to embrace that kind of that style, like that B movie style. Like a lot of people. I'm gonna watch this tonight, but I've finished watching. Speaking of the history of horror and how like nowadays we see a lot of people watching fan films, because I know you mentioned that. I watched Never Hike Alone. I was like, man, this is really dope because you're like following one person. It's also kind of using like kind of like a found footage kind of style at the same time, but that was really dope. I don't know if I
Right.
gotta watch the one Never Hike Alone in the Snow before Never Hiking Alone too, but
Hmm.
um I do want to watch both of those eventually, but I definitely want to get around to that. And
Yeah.
seeing people be able to make their own projects now is something that is really dope to see, because now
Oh,
you don't really need a studio for the most part to kind of put out your own kind of vision on something.
yeah, dog. The Friday the 13th fan films are fucking killing it. Like, yo, some of them even better than the damn movies themselves.
Hmm.
Like my boy Peter Anthony, man. That dude put out what's the Friday the 13th Roseblood. So that takes place around the same time as part 7, right?
Okay,
He even cast the same guy that played the Doctor and everything. You know what I'm saying? So it's a
that's
straight
dope.
follow up. Yes, a straight follow up to part 7. And man, some of the best Jason kills I've ever seen. You
Yeah,
know what
and
I'm saying?
even Dylan's New Nightmare and stuff. Like, I
Yeah.
really want to see a part 2 to that.
Oh, yeah, I
That was
still
really
gotta
cool.
watch that. Yeah, I still gotta watch that too.
Yeah, that was really cool. Like, it's just cool to see that. Like, to where now it's almost going back to how things were in the early days, where you get a lot of like low budget. I don't know what the budget was for like something like Nosferatu or like
Hmm.
Dracula and stuff, but we started to kind of get a mixture of that. Like, you'll have stuff that is like really low budget to B movies, and then like in between, but then you'll see stuff like Talk to Me that's only like 4 million to
Right.
make, and it looks like a huge budget, but it's really not, and it's still doing crazy numbers as far as the box office.
Yeah.
So it's like it's just an interesting time for horror, and it's going to be interesting to see where it goes next, and that's going to be the finale of Horror Never Dies next week, where we talk about the
The
future
future of
of
horror.
horror, because like that's what was really interesting, because it seems like now more and more people are getting into horror. It's always been mainstream, I would say, for the most part, but I feel like it's way more. It's reaching way more people. More people can kind of give it more of a chance, considering other things like superhero genres kind of like not completely. I don't. I won't say it's completely dying down, but
Mm.
it's just people aren't really interested and they want to go find something else. And I start to see a little bit more newer faces or newer fans coming into horror and stuff, which is really dope to see.
Well, let me ask you. I think we kind of touched on this a few episodes ago, but like, so okay, we're talking about like the Draculas and the Wolfman, like the golden age of horror, right? Like those early horror movies. So back then, those movies got a lot of respect because they was considered, as Scorsese would say, cinema, right? They horror movies used to be cinematic. Do you think because like we always praise the 80s as being a dope ass era in horror where we had like you had some of the most creative horror movies ever made, but in the 80s that's the start of the video store, right? The video store emerges
Mm,
and now you have a whole bunch of like horror movies are now coming a dime a dozen. Now they're not so much cinematic, but they're now looking they're cheap. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
These are cheap schlock films that's just a level above porn. You know, like if you go back and look at Siskel and Ebert reviews, they shit on like 90% of horror movies, bro. I can't find one Siskel and Ebert review damn near where they gave a horror movie praise except for The Exorcist. So
that's crazy.
do you think so? Even though we praise the 80s, but do you think the 80s hurt horror? Where whereas prior to that,
Um,
the 60s and the 50s and the 40s, it was more cinematic, and then it's now it's like, oh, this is dirty. I just feel dirty watching
no,
this.
I wouldn't say it hurt it. I think it kind of like, even though like you're gonna always, I've always talked about this. Like whenever you got a hit, Hollywood's gonna try to execute on that and make a
Yeah.
bunch of whatever's out of it. Like they did it with westerns.
Mm-hmm.
Now westerns are kind of like a thing of the past. You
Right.
know what I'm saying? It's just something about horror that it just keeps people coming back.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
always keeps people coming back, no matter what. Even if it has its downtimes, it's always going to come back in some way. Like when slashers were kind of dead
Mm-hmm.
in the night, going into the '90s, Scream came back, revitalized everything. Now you start to see more new slashers being made. So you got Pearl,
Right.
X. They got Thanksgiving coming out, and What a Wonderful Knife coming out next month and stuff. So like, it's always gonna like resurface. Like, there's also still some unique found footage horror movies that
Mm-hmm.
you know went away with the Dodo Bird, with Paranormal Activity movies, but now you start to see like Hell House movies being made. They even they're remaking The Strangers. You know what I'm saying? They're going to drop 3 movies in 1 year, which that's going to be interesting. They're going to do like a
Wow.
Fear Street kind of
Wow.
scenario.
Okay.
So,
Well, I mean, I said that because like back then, because growing up at that time, bro, those movies in the box office didn't make a lot of money. So
yeah.
at the time, the only horror movies that made money were the Elm Street movies. So like
Hmm.
the first one was a modest hit. I think the second one made a little bit more, but that third one, 3 and 4 were like at the time like huge for horror movies because like they would hit the theater the first week, people would see it, then it would disappear after that. You wouldn't see it no more. You know what I'm saying? Then it goes like right to video. So
Hmm.
yeah, at the time, yeah, horror movies did not do good at the box office at all, unless you were Freddy
Yeah.
Krueger. Yeah,
Shout out to Guru. He said I finished Totally Killer. Yeah, I gotta get your thoughts later on that. Because Totally Killer, like that's another one. What I'm saying, comes out. It's like a time travel slasher, something completely we haven't really seen
right,
before.
right,
So, what I'm saying, and it's funny that you mentioned the box office, that like that should have killed horror right then and there, but like now horror does way better in the theaters now than they ever have,
mhm.
because I guess because they
Oh
keep
yeah,
it at such a low budget. And
oh
you know
yeah,
what I'm saying, like something like Smile that came out last year made over 200 million. You know what I'm saying, on a small budget, and it's a brand new film. Like it's just crazy.
yeah. Nah, yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's definitely better now than in the '80s. The '90s after Scream, like Scream is really would put horror back on the map, where people went out in droves into the theaters to go see horror movies again. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? So I guess we can credit Scream for that. And then the early 2000s, with Jeepers Creepers and It's
Um,
almost like we got like a whole nother like a renaissance of newer horror films that came out that started making more money. But yeah, the '80s, dry.
was Blair Witch 99 or 2000?
99. That was summer '99.
Yeah, so like that transition, that kind of opened the doors for Paranormal Activity like years later, which is kind of crazy how that
Yeah.
stuff kind of, and then like The Ring in the middle of it, like that was another popular one. So that, like I said, there's always going to be something like Conjuring movies or
Mm-hmm.
something's going to come out every decade that's just going to wow people or just get a lot of people's attention and stuff. And the new 20s have been really fucking dope for horror. Like there's a
Oh
lot of
yeah,
horror movies that
yeah,
probably people haven't been hip to yet, but like it's definitely there's a lot of interesting ideas being a lot of ideas and stories being told and shown and stuff like that. That it's got me excited to see like where is this gonna go in 10 years from now, 20 years from now. And I still
look,
think horror is going to be around for another 100 years, depending on what cinema looks like 100 years from now. Because it's like it's just crazy to think that movie, like just cinema as a whole, has been like 100 plus years and stuff. Like
I know,
and
right?
all the leaps that it took, and you're going to have your times where there's going to be slumps or bad movies and stuff like that. That's that's there's going to be bad movies in every single era, and it's all subjective. Like as far as some people might not even enjoy watching 80s movies like that are younger than us and stuff like that
Right.
because it's the stuff that we grew up on. Their stuff that they
Well,
grew up on is going to be different, so it's always going to change. Everything's always going to change, and people are going to
well,
perceive things differently.
yeah, well, horror's definitely stood the test of time because think about it, the action movie of like the '80s is like it's not exist like action. I mean, there's still action movies, but it's nowhere near as popular as it used to be. Like back in the day, you couldn't wait to see the new Schwarzenegger or Stallone, action joint. But right now, we have like Extraction, which is on Netflix, but it has a fan base, but not as big as it used to be. So you have like your mystery movies, your action movies, like all these movies, like they still have a fan base, but it seems like horror kind of outlived all of them. You know what I'm saying? Because horror
Yeah,
is still extremely popular when it comes to the most moviegoers. You know what I mean? So I got no
it's
problem with that.
literally for me, in my opinion, I feel like it because of that, it's the most creative. You can
Yeah,
get really creative with stuff and different ideas where they're able to kind of create their own subgenres and stuff like where not a lot of action movies have kind of a lot of them kind of stuck to the same formula, very
hmm
formulatic. They stick to the same formula and whatnot, and
right,
they're not able to kind of branch out or do create some genres or take chances on new actors and that's another thing that's probably the biggest issue with current Hollywood is that they don't really they don't know how to really build talent no more. As
yeah,
far as even though like there are talented actors, like you find them on Netflix or just like any type of streaming services, but like they'll never give them a chance to be put in like a big major movie and kind of build talent around them or just build a
right,
legacy around them like they would do like a Schwarzenegger or Stallone and stuff like that. Like when people say there's no more action stars, I think there could be if Hollywood would just like
yeah.
allow somebody else to kind of take the torch or just kind of really
But
look deeper into the shit or just actually take certain things serious. But
But
like,
that's the thing that there's not a market for it no more. I mean, right now, like the only action movies making money are the Mission Impossible movies or the John Wick movies. But
hey, even the
like
Mission Impossible movie, the recent one just kind of flopped though. It pretty much flopped
it did, didn't it? Yeah.
compared to Top Gun, which is I'll never understand how Top Gun 2 made over like $1 billion. I don't understand that, bro.
Bro, timing is everything, man. Top Gun came at a time where the pandemic was ending. People wanted to go back to the movies again, and the nostalgia of the first Top Gun, Tom Cruise being Tom Cruise. People want to go back
Hmm.
to the movies. It was all timing, man. I mean, who's to say
Yeah.
if they would reverse it, if they would have put out Mission Impossible last year and Top Gun this year, probably would have did the flip flop.
I would have loved to see I would have loved to see Top Gun flop, man. But I don't want to. I don't want to. I don't want to pray. I don't want to pray. Pray on nobody downfall and anything like that. Shouts to Tom. I don't
Yeah,
got nothing wrong with Tom like being successful. It's just that movie's hella mid to me. But
yeah. But I mean, but like that just goes to show too that I guess there's always going to be a place for horror because people always want to be scared, Whereas as the action movie that I grew up on is dead. You know what I'm saying? It's a dead art form. We're not going to have that again, unfortunately.
You never know. You never know. Actions could come back. You know what I'm saying? But like I said, I just think they wasted a lot of like potential. Like you got the actors from like the raid that they could have like
Yeah,
brought over here and done some crazy shit, or you know what I'm saying, utilized them in different ways. And you know, I think action is more stronger in like streaming now than on the big screen because there's definitely a lot of dope action.
yeah. Well, I had high hopes for The Rock, man. I'm a big Rock fan, and that they was grooming Rock to be the next Arnold and Sly, and I don't know. I guess a lot of it had to do with his ego because Rock is Rock. So
Yeah,
unfortunately, that didn't happen.
yeah,
you
yeah.
know,
That's what say they gotta go. They gotta go younger. Like tap into the youth, man. Like
yeah,
stop always going to the same like people that are about to just they're like 60, 70. Like you know what I'm saying. Let them hang that shit up and give it to a new generation.
right,
And
right.
that's another thing that's gonna keep horror alive. Is that, like they always like champion new talent or people that you've never seen before. They always try to go for like the superstar all the time.
Yeah, well, shit. Well, like now, I said this in my review too. I said, like right now, you talking about the masters of horror, like currently, you gotta put Mike Flanagan in that category. Jordan Peele.
Yeah, for sure.
Who's another one? Damien Leone, man, the Terrifier
Yeah,
movies.
he's coming up. I,
He's
I just
coming
would
up.
want to see what he does, even though he has done things outside of Terrifier. I want
Mhm.
to see what he does next because I think
Yeah,
that's gonna be really like his make or break it. Like, can he make something better than Terrifier or just on par, or let's see
right.
his range. You know what I'm saying? Like, even though I would definitely put him up there just because
Hmm.
I think he really created something special with Terrifier and just that whole franchise and stuff. Like, it has my interest. Not everybody's gonna feel like that. Some people hate the first Terrifier, which is cool, but I said like Terrifier 2
What?
did something.
Man,
Terrifier 2 did something that elevate that whole franchise. You
yo,
know what I'm saying?
to me, that they were like the first Terrifier, like because my boy Mike put me onto that from Did You See That? He put me onto the first Terrifier. I
Yeah,
say that there are elements in that first one that was scarier than two.
yeah,
Like
and
it was
you know
something
what?
real gutter about that first one, man.
Yeah, that's what I said. It's nasty. It's like it's raw, and the
Yeah,
fact that there's just like, and some people will say there's no story, but I was like, I'm okay with that because it just still subverted. I know people hate that, so like subvert your expectations. Like you're
yeah,
thinking like, oh, this is gonna be the final girl, and she gonna know.
nah.
You wasn't expecting this motherfucker to pull out a whole like 38 and just start popping off. I was like, what I'm saying, like that shit
Yeah,
was crazy. There was a lot of surprises in that movie that I've never seen done
hell
in a
yeah,
horror movie before, and
hell
just
yeah,
they kind of elevate that with Terrifier 2, which I just love that movie. That's just like a really good movie. Now another movie they need to get on to the sequel is Trick or Treat 2, man. That's just
yeah.
they've waited too long, man. Like not too long, but like they should have been had like multiple sequels and stuff like that for that franchise. Like even I'd be cool with a TV series.
Yeah, I don't know why they never because that movie's always had a big following, so I don't know why they never continue that.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Shit.
that's kind of strange.
Yeah, so yeah, we get into that hour, which is good. 'Cause I'm tired. Um, you're not gonna be up for another like 2 fucking hours.
Right.
I might go give you some crumble cookie. I don't know. You got crumble cookies down there?
Yeah, yeah. I delivered a couple of crumble cookies to people. They're expensive as shit though. Like my daughter, my daughter's
They're
like,
good
Dad,
as
can you take
fuck.
me to crumble cookie? It's like fucking $6 for one damn cookie.
They're good
I
as fuck
said,
though.
I guess so. Shit, I give you
You
a
didn't
whole
have
thing.
one? You never tried them?
Nah, nah. I get them for my daughter, but I never tried them. Nah.
Yeah, next time she gets it, like yo, try one. Like you know what I'm saying? I'm telling you, them shits is like crack. But what you got coming down the pipeline in the future? What's next for your channel?
Well, tomorrow I'm dropping my reaction to Trick or Treat, and I'm a little disappointed, bro. I'm gonna be honest because I thought my reaction videos would do better than what they're doing, but unfortunately, my numbers say otherwise. I guess because those are lesser known movies that I guess a
Yeah,
lot of people don't know about. You know what I'm
and it
saying?
probably takes it's probably gonna take a minute. Like once you keep doing them more and more, it'll probably
Right,
gain more
right.
traction and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, because those are time consuming to edit. Like you have to because you have to be really precise. Because I don't want to get no copyright, so I have to like be really precise with the shit. So it took me like 5 hours to 6 hours to edit that popcorn video that I did. So
Mm.
but I got that coming up, Trick or Treat, and then I just did a review for Black Tastic's new werewolf movie.
Hmm.
I've done it again.
Hmm.
Which if you
Yeah, I've
haven't
seen that. I
seen,
saw that.
yeah, Chad, check it out. Yeah, that shit was on. That shit was dope, man. I really like what he's doing, like combining horror and making it a love story too, and
Hmm.
actually like really trying to tell a story. You know what I'm saying? And then open up like a whole nother universe. You know what I'm saying? That he can build on. You
Hmm.
know, so yeah, shout out to Black Tastic. I just did a review for that one. And then what else am I gonna be reviewing? I don't know yet. After some drinks tonight, I'll probably come up with something. But yeah, so far that's all I got coming up, bro.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like for me, like I said, Tuesday I'll be over there on Zach Attacks Reviews channel, and we're gonna just be talking horror over there. And then next Saturday is the finale of season 1 of Horror. Horror Never Dies. So definitely pull up for that. And until next time, I'll see y'all on the next one. Peace.
Peace.